Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
Tony, Blake Shelton is People Magazine's sexiest man alive.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I shaved my chest for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you think shaving your chest was going to get? How does Blake Shelton have chest hair?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
I'm not as close to him as you might think.
Oh, okay.
I know who he is. I know he's a real big guy, very tall, broad-shouldered
He's
guy.
On one of those talent
The Voice,
shows, right? The Voice.
He's a singer. You know, I never thought of him as sexy, but they don't come to me to judge
singer,
it.
right?
Yeah, good singer. Good singer. Married, I think, to Gwen Stefani.
Is he married?
She's a judge on that show, too. Yeah. That's more than anyone needs to know. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Duke wins, the Celtics win, and the World Cup losers may even win.
Get carried away.
But we begin today with the reshuffling of the college football playoff deck. Notre Dame and Georgia are out. Miami and Oklahoma are in. The top 4 in order are Alabama, Clemson, Miami, and Oklahoma. Undefeated Wisconsin, your team, is just out of the money at number 5 with a path in. Wilbon, do you think the committee has it right?
Sure. And they're not out of the money, Wisconsin. They're in the money. Because the ACC teams, and there are 2 of them, Clemson and Miami, one knocks out the other. I'm not even going to say the SEC teams knock each other out all around them, because if you go further, deeper there, you get Auburn and Georgia. I'm not going to say that, although that, too, happens, and it sort of keeps the traffic around them off of them. And then, as we have said for 3 weeks now, if Wisconsin wins out, big if, because the last one should be against Ohio State, if they win out, they're going to get in.
You're sure?
So, yes.
Sure. Can I give you? Can I present 2 things to you to make your head blow up just a little bit?
Make my head blow, because he's
if I am a Wisconsin fan, I am rooting desperately for Alabama to win, because Alabama winning eliminates, to a large degree, the possibility of either Auburn or Georgia getting in. So I want Alabama to win.
Okay.
But there's another circle, because I think if Auburn wins out, Alabama's going to get in, too. I think there'll be 2 SEC teams.
Alabama
that
could
hurts
lose
Wisconsin.
twice. If they lose 2 out of their last 3 games,
one.
Get out.
One. They're only going to have one.
I'm just saying they
loss.
could lose 2 out of their last 3.
They're not going to. Now, the second scenario, which you have dismissed this cavalierly. What if Clemson and Miami, what if they play one of those games that people want to see again? So if I'm a Wisconsin fan, I am rooting for that game to be decisively won so that the eliminated team is out.
Let me see if I can say this as simply as I need to say it. And particularly for you as an English major, I could make it convoluted, but I'm not going to do that. If Wisconsin wins out, Wisconsin had better be in the damn Final Four. I mean, is that simple? Did I stammer or stutter? Another thing, we're getting to the time where people are going to start agitating for 8. We're almost
or 16.
there.
That's
not
fine.
16.
Here's the problem Wisconsin has in that room with that committee.
What?
They have no resume. They will not have beaten any team, even if they win out, with fewer than 2 losses.
Okay.
That's their problem.
Okay. Some of those other teams won't have beaten anybody with fewer than 2 losses either.
Well, Alabama
Some of those teams will have 2 losses. How you like that?
No, only Auburn has a chance with 2 losses.
Well, I just said Alabama could lose 2 of their next 3.
Who are they going to lose to? Mercer? Who are they going to lose to?
They could lose the Iron Bowl and then lose what they do.
Well, they don't have another game, so they can't. But nice try. Go ahead.
The point is, Wisconsin's getting in. The Boston Celtics keep rolling, Tony. They don't have Gordon Hayward. Kyrie Irving's wearing that mask.
What kind of mask?
Lone
Ranger mask?
Yeah, not exactly.
Oh.
Clear plastic mask.
Okay.
But the Celtics have nevertheless won 13 straight after pulling away from the Nets in Brooklyn last night. The one knock on the C's is their strength of schedule so far, but that's about to change with the champs visiting Boston tomorrow night. Speaking of the Warriors, Steve Kerr told reporters the Celtics are, quote, the team of the future in the East, closed quote. Tony, is Kerr on to something, or is he just setting up the C's before tomorrow night's game?
Well, as you say often, both can be true. I think there's a little bit of puffery in this because the game is in Boston, and what better way to get your team up than by saying, hey, these guys across the street, they're the next great thing. So that may be psychology on his part. But I think he's also right. I mean, I think especially next year, when Gordon Hayward comes back and Jason Tatum is a year older, I think they are the power at that point. If not now, I think they will be the power in the East.
I like that if not now you snuck in there.
If not now.
The Celtics are the team of the East now because the Cleveland Cavaliers aren't interested in being that. The Cleveland Cavaliers are interested when they decide to play, like at the Garden, where LeBron wants to celebrate being in the Garden because he understands the history and the theater of the Garden, and he wants to play, so he runs down the Knicks from 23 back. Or he wants to go to some other town where he's got some grudge against somebody and he might win there, might want to win at Golden State. But they're not paying attention.
Okay.
Boston is the team of the East today. And you mentioned that the kid from Duke may be good next year. No. He and Jaylen Brown are good right now.
But they'll get better.
And you're right. They're better. They're going to be better next year. But, Tony, because they can sort of replace Gordon Hayward, the Celtics can win the East this year.
Let me ask you a question. I don't think you would dispute for a second that the greatest football coach out there right now is in Boston, and he's Bill Belichick.
Right.
Is it possible the greatest basketball coach right now is in Boston, too, and he's in Brad Stevens?
No.
Because he hasn't had time to put a resume together.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a guy named Popovich who's won how many?
Yeah.
5.
One of the things that Brad Stevens does better than anybody, or at least as good as Popovich, is he plays his guys a reasonable amount of minutes. They don't have anybody playing more than 32 minutes. No other team that's got a winning record in the NBA has that. So they won't be fatigued in April and May.
He develops depth. He doesn't say, go out and get me somebody. He's developed his own depth.
He makes players better than they are.
But look at really Jalen and Jason. It's a players' league. Yeah. Those guys aren't getting nearly enough credit for what's going on in Boston. Everybody wants to credit Brad Stevens.
I do.
That's fine. You better credit some players. Because if he didn't have them, you know what they'd be doing?
He got Kyrie Irving. He knows what he's doing.
Players,
he knows what he's doing.
He does.
The 3 UCLA freshmen who were detained in China are back on campus and publicly apologizing. Each of them admitted shoplifting, thanked the school, thanked the Chinese police, thanked President Trump. Each said he would never do this again and he would strive to be a better citizen. UCLA suspended all 3 indefinitely. Wilbon, the school was very clear with what the players did. Are you okay with the wait-and-see suspensions?
Only if the result fits what I think what the result should be. The result better be weeks and months, not days. Not 2-3 days, not 2-3 games, not 5-6 games. 10 games
minimum
or more.
10 minimum for you?
For me.
Yeah.
And you know what? I guess if you start splitting hairs, if we get to 8 or 9, I don't want to hear, they've learned their lesson. After 48 hours, let's get them back on the court against Loyola Marymount. I don't want to hear that.
This is interesting to me because it reminds me of being a political consultant. I think what UCLA did was very, very smart because they said, okay, we're going to suspend them indefinitely, and then we're going to sit back and we're going to wait to see when the crisis clears. And at that point, I think they may try to get the players back in because I don't think they have a number in mind. Now, the crisis may not clear for a while. So I don't know what that number is. I think the person that could be hurt in this is actually Steve Alford if he doesn't get these players all year and they fall down in the standings because you need some of those freshmen.
They're not going to be out the whole year. You know they're not. It's just not going to happen that way. UCLA is too invested in basketball.
Do you think it's possible that Trump could start tweeting the following kinds of things? It's okay, let him play. It's okay, we brought him back, let him play.
I would hope
Do you
not.
think UCLA would be influenced by that?
If I was UCLA, I would tell the White House where to go. Even though that's what the person sitting in the Oval Office of the White House would do. He would tell people where to go.
Sure.
So if I'm UCLA, Tony, and by the way, if UCLA doesn't have the cojones to do this, then the Pac-12 ought to, and the NCAA ought to.
Oh, the NCAA.
They should say to UCLA, and they probably don't have the cojones either.
So you think it's 10? The number for you is 10.
For me, the number's 10. We can work off it a little bit. But don't just tell me, we're sorry, we're going to move on. We'll go to a sunglass hut somewhere else in Southern California and ply our trade.
Do you think it's at least smart of UCLA to do indefinite? Or do you not? Do you think they should have come out strongly and said something again?
I think it's possible it's gutless.
Okay.
And that's what we're dealing with today. Most institutions are gutless. They don't want to take accountability for anything difficult. They want to get their spin meisters out there and see which way the wind is blowing. They're all gutless. There was college basketball news from the court last night, too. Top-ranked Duke narrowly won a really high-end game of elites over number 2 Michigan State. The headline there had to be Grayson Allen scoring a career-high 37 and holding it down without prize freshman Marvin Bagley, who got poked in the eye and had to sit out most of the game. Question, Tony, is whether Allen, after all the drama he brought on himself last season, can play well enough as a senior to change the narrative about who he is and might be going forward.
So let me say this again for the record, because I've said it before. Grayson Allen is a great college basketball player. He's a great college basketball player. He's a great shooter. He's a clutch shooter. If you saw him at the end of the first half make a long shot, he's a great player. Now, to the question of the narrative, which is, I think, a more important question. You can outrun it as long as you don't trip somebody, as long as you don't hack somebody, as long as you don't crash into somebody and pull back with one of those deals. Because what you get the moment that happens, you get a talking head on this network or some other screaming, suspend him right now because he's a recidivist, and you get the Bobby Knight highlight reel of bad behavior, which we have seen 10,000 times, and everything Grayson Allen has done comes out. So, no, I don't think so.
I'd like to disagree with you.
But
I'm not going to. I think the only way he changes the narrative about him is at the next level.
Me too.
I don't care. I don't want to hear people say, "Oh, that's unfair." I didn't say it was fair.
All right.
That's the deal. He's going to have to go to the next level where when you shove somebody, they'll get back up and shove you like 34 rows deep because they're bigger, stronger,
would you compare
tougher,
him
and
to
nastier.
anybody else in this circumstance? Because I would to J.J. Redick.
Yeah, but J.J. Redick had the respect of his peers.
But J.J. Redick was thought of in a certain way in college when he wore Duke.
As outsiders.
As long as Grayson Allen wears Duke, you get 6 or 8 years in the pros,
but that
it's
was
different.
only about things like race and Duke. It didn't have any substance. And J.J. Redick's popularity for the last 10 years tells you that on multiple teams. This kid doesn't have that.
No, he does not.
He's got to earn it. And my point is, and I think your point is, he can only earn it with the big boys now.
I think that's true.
He's great last night.
He was. He was.
Really great.
We're going to do a soccer story now, and I endorse this. The United States, which did not qualify for the 2018 World Cup, is looking into hosting what amounts to a World Cup NIT for other losers, like Italy and Ghana and the Netherlands and Chile and also Cameroon and Ecuador and Ireland and Greece. Wilbon, do you love this idea as much as I do?
Well, I don't know if I love it. I just think it's necessary. Like you mentioned some teams there that have won the World Cup. Italy.
They're in all the time.
The Netherlands. Didn't Cruyff lead them? Let them at least into
They're in it
the
all
World
the
Cup
time.
final.
Ghana's in it all the time.
Well, I don't mean just in the tournament. I mean they get deep in the tournament. They're in the single elimination part playing for the big money. And so I think, yes, if those other countries, and I bet there's a problem, because those other countries might say, what do we want to do this for? What do we want to have call-ups for? Well, club teams, Tony, have to allow the call-ups for those players to be playing for their national teams.
Because in this country, the ratings are going to be spectacular.
That's this country.
There's going to be big money that nobody ever expected from this country. I'll bet ESPN would bid on this thing right now. And we could actually win this thing because it's going to be played here. And if we won this thing, we would declare ourselves great and we would demand to play the World Cup winner for championship of the world.
Suppose you lose the losers tournament.
Fine. Well, who cares?
No, these other countries care. Don't give me the Mexico's going to pay for our wall. No.
Mexico's in the tournament.
Countries are
They're going to make money. They walk out with a checkbook.
They make money already.
They're going to make more money.
Tony.
Look at me.
I hate to tell you
this. Money.
Their ratings are high because people watch them all the time.
Right.
Okay?
But they
don't have any population
Do you know
issues.
what you say all the time about how we're big in China? Because China didn't have basketball before.
Right.
What if one of these countries became the American darling and they could make money here? It's not the
They're bigger darlings where they are, and they make more money where they are.
There's never enough. It's a great idea.
It's not here, the money.
Let's take a break.
The money's there.
Coming
Follow
up,
the money.
are the Bills doing the right thing by benching starting quarterback Tyrod Taylor?
NIT soccer tournament.
Love it.
What's the word for tonight's matchup between high-profile rooks, Ben Simmons and Lonzo Ball?
There's another point, too. Eat it, FIFA. Nobody likes FIFA. We can get rid of FIFA.
Pardon the Interruption is presented by Sky Vodka. Make every day. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour. And in part by Audi.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Interruption presented by Sky Vodka. Part of Happy Hour.
Time for the game made to be dominated by honorary doctors of humane letters like me. What's the word? Let's get the first one from the producer over the loudspeaker.
Ben Simmons versus Lonzo Ball tonight is a blank matchup.
One-sided for Simmons. Simmons is averaging 18 points. Lonzo Ball is averaging 9.5. Simmons has more assists. He has more rebounds. He's a better player.
Yeah.
He's a year older. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's real good right now. Ball might get to be real good. He's real good right now. He's shooting 49.7%. The other kid's shooting 31.
They're both going to be real good because all of this craziness over Ball and what he's not shooting, which is
Right.
It doesn't. The kid is the youngest player other than Magic Johnson ever to have a triple-double in NBA competition, and he came close to one in his first couple of games. So I think he's been solid. Despite the shooting, he can learn to get better at that.
He's not as good as Simmons.
He's not as good as Simmons. It's a post-LeBron matchup. When LeBron is gone, beyond 2020, we're going to be talking about them all the time. ESPN and TNT will be selling the two of them.
Next.
It's blank that the Bills benched Tyrod Taylor for Nathan Peterman.
It's page 21 in the catalog, the Peterman catalog. I didn't even know who Nathan Peterman was this morning. And I just found out he went to Pitt and that Mel Kiper compared him to Trent Green, who had a pretty good career. Tyrod Taylor's out because he had 56-yard passing the other day on 18 attempts. So it's Nathan Peterman. Come on down.
How'd that Pinstripe Bowl work out for Peterman?
Don't know. I don't follow the Pinstripe Bowl.
I don't remember him in the fourth quarter of that game. Do you?
Who was in it?
Purple people.
Oh.
And I don't mean the Vikings.
Yeah, excuse me.
Now let's go to the overreacting that the Bills are benching Tyrod Taylor for Nathan Peterman. They're 5-4. The Bills aren't 5-4 every year. They're usually something like after 9 games, 3-6. Okay? He's got 10 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, so no huge mistakes. He's completing 64% of his passes.
Yeah, he had a very bad game. He had a very bad game against the Saints.
He had a bad game, and so now, who's the head coach of that team?
Next.
Who's the head coach?
Somebody named
Tennessee would be blank to bring back Lane Kiffin.
Deja vuing. I'm not saying that Lane Kiffin is bad. He's doing a great job with, I know you care about him, the Owl Nation at Florida Atlantic this year. Yeah. But I'm saying that everywhere he's gone, and by the way, one of the places he's been already is Tennessee. Everywhere he's gone, he has been self-destructive.
Yeah.
He was in Tennessee for 1 season, and he left to go to USC. Why would you bring him back? That is his move, to leave, to be fired, to get out. I don't really understand. As good a coach as he is, I would not do this.
And that's why Tennessee would be numbskulls. How many times do you have to learn the same lesson if you're at Tennessee? Are you constantly reaching into the fire going, oh, did that burn us last time? This is stupidity.
It's fun, like getting your hand caught in a vending machine.
If you're Tennessee, you've got resources. Go find a coach who's not going to drag himself and your program into trouble time and again.
Don't get it. Don't get it.
Numbskulls
Next.
Do that.
Last one. Scott Boras is blank to ask for $210 million over 7 years for J.D. Martinez.
He's prophetic. This may sound like a lot for a guy who only once got over 30 home runs in his previous 6 seasons, not this year. Only once batted in over 100, not this season. But to me, Scott Boras knows the free agent market better than anybody. I think he'll get this. I think this will be like a Jason Worth deal where you think, wow, that's wildly high. But you ask the Nats after the deal, they think it was a good deal, and they'll tell you it was a good deal. He'll get this.
Well, the age of 30 is kind of what mitigates it for some teams, Tony. They just go, wait a minute, you're past the physical prime, which they now think is 27, 28, 29.
I don't know. He just had his best season.
I know he did, Tony. I think he's undervaluing.
Really?
Yeah. I think instead of looking at 30 each year, you could be looking at 35, 37. The Boston Red Sox are going to want him. That alone sets the market, since they need a power hitter.
Get it.
J.D. Martinez is the guy on the market I would want.
That's it. This blank is over. Let's take one last break, but still to come, the Vikings decide who will start at quarterback on Sunday, perhaps Tyrod Taylor.
Those are the other purple people. Clayton Kershaw missed 2 months of the regular season, but is he still the favorite to win the Cy?
So you beat Pitt in a Pinstripe Bowl.
Yes.
That's in New York City, isn't it?
It is.
Did you go?
No.
Why?
I don't do New York.
Pardon the interruption is presented by Sky Vodka. Make every day. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time. People, happy 22nd birthday, Karl Anthony Towns. The overall #1 NBA pick in 2015. Towns is averaging 21 points, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks a game for Minnesota. He's also in the news for echoing David Stern's position that marijuana should be removed from the NBA's banned substance list. Although Towns says he doesn't use marijuana, he believes it would be beneficial to players' lives to be able to.
I don't care about that. I've adopted Minnesota. With the Bulls being relegated to a lower division.
I thought you adopted Philadelphia.
No, I like to watch Philadelphia, but I've adopted Minnesota.
Happy anniversary. That's great news. Happy anniversary, Justin Verlander. On this day 6 years ago, you were named the AL Cy Young winner, shortly before also being named the AL MVP. Verlander hasn't reached such individual heights since. Who has? But he was spectacular in the second half of this season with both Detroit and Houston. He's got a World Series ring on his finger, and after skipping the Astros championship parade to fly to Italy to marry Kate Upton, she has a ring on her finger, too.
Who had a better October than him, than Verlander?
Nobody.
Anybody in the United States? Anybody?
Nobody. No. Nobody. Happy trails to another game for the Arizona Coyotes. By losing 4-1 to Winnipeg last night, the Coyotes are in the embarrassing position of becoming the first team in NHL history to go through the first 20 games without a regulation win. It's probably nitpicking because the Coyotes have 2 overtime victories, but we didn't have anything better today.
Tony, they've been in trouble so many times. They've been nearly sold, nearly moved. They got an arena 50 miles from nowhere.
Changed their name, right?
I don't think they changed it. Oh, you mean
they
from Phoenix to Arizona? That's not really
working.
A name change,
it's not working, is it?
Nothing much is working.
I mean, if
them.
you don't love them living out there, nobody loves them. 2 errors, both Wilbons. The Netherlands has never won the World Cup. And Blake Shelton not married to Gwen Stefani.
I didn't say anything about Stefani.
Yes, you did.
Said
Let's
that,
get the big finish quick. Vikings will stick with Case Keenum against the Rams. Your thoughts?
This was fake news yesterday. The consideration they were going to bench him for a guy who hadn't played in 22 months. Stop it. Arkansas fired athletic director Jeff Long. Is Brett Bielema next?
11-27 in the SEC. Probably.
Why'd he leave Wisconsin? This is dumb.
John Gruden says never say never when it comes to him coaching again. You think he might?
Never. Torey Lovello, Paul Molitor, managers of the year. Cy Youngs are tonight. Who you got?
By the way, I had one of those too. I had Molitor. Clayton Kershaw and Corey Kluber. Though I'd love to see Scherzer win again. I'm not sure.
Reasonable.
Last one, college hoops. Creighton at number 20, Northwestern
right,
tonight.
Give it up.
Are you nervous?
Very nervous. I got a big nervous weekend. We got to play Minnesota. We're ranked in football too.
Unbelievable.
Binghamton ranked in 2 sports.
We're trying to. Binghamton isn't. We don't have 2 sports.
Chess.
Better than next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast.
Chatter reopens tomorrow at 11:30.
Why did it close?
Beautified, renovated.
PTI.